The afternoon begins to yawn. Long shadows stretch across the stones like sleepy cats repositioning. You walk past a cracked amphora half buried in the dirt. It probably held wine, or olives, or regret. Today's myth involves something even stranger than golden showers or prophetic trees. A woman named Io. Yes, just Io. Like someone sneezed while naming her. She was a priestess of Hera, loyal and lovely, two qualities that practically guaranteed Zeus's interest. You find yourself beside a small pasture where cows flick their tails and chew grass with infinite patience. One of them stares at you like it knows what's coming. In the myth, Zeus tries to seduce Io, because of course he does. Hera, always 2 steps behind, but never for long, suspects something and suddenly appears. Zeus panics. So what does he do? He transforms Io into a cow, a literal, 4-legged, moo-producing cow. And hands her over to Hera. If this sounds like the worst cover-up in divine history, that's because it is. Hera, not fooled, pretends to believe him. Then she ties up Io and assigns her a guard, Argus Panopta, a giant with 100 eyes. Fun at parties, terrible at hide-and-seek. You pause near a shady patch where bees hum around a cracked honeypot someone abandoned on a rock. Ants are holding a summit. It looks political. Back in the myth, Zeus sends Hermes to free Io. Hermes, the cleverest of gods and probably the patron saint of fast talkers, tells Argus a story so long and boring that all 100 eyes eventually close in sleep. Hermes then kills Argus gently, efficiently, and frees the bovine princess. Obscure tidbit. Hera honors Argus by placing his many eyes on the tail of a peacock. So the next time you see one, remember, it's not showing off. It's mourning a murdered multitasker. Io runs as a cow across Greece, across the known world, through lands and seas and over mountains, still in her bovine form, stung constantly by a gadfly sent by Hera. Eventually, Zeus turns her back into a woman. She bears him a son, and her descendants will include heroes like Heracles and kings of Egypt, because why not throw in an international dynasty? Historians still debate whether the Io myth reflects real migration stories, religious syncretism, or just one really determined cow. Back in the village, a child tries to ride a goat. The goat disagrees. A standstill is reached. Negotiations begin. You watch as an old woman lifts her hands to the sky, murmuring thanks or curses, or possibly both. The sun dips low. The cows keep chewing. One of them looks like it's smiling. You stretch out on the ground, arms behind your head. The gods, it seems, will do anything to avoid consequences. And you? You're here for all of it, hoofprints, thunderclouds, and peacock feathers alike. You wake, though it's possible you never truly slept in a small olive grove just off the edge of the road. The branches overhead dance like old storytellers, gossiping with the wind. You hear a frog somewhere, maybe 2. Maybe they're arguing this morning's tale. Leda and the Swan. Yes, we're back in Zeus's favorite disguise category. Birds. This one's a bit of a doozy. Not unlike the moment you realize the friendly pigeon is actually a government drone. Except here, the pigeon is an immortal sky deity with control issues. Leda, a queen of Sparta and wife to King Tyndareus, is walking alone. Why are they always walking alone? When Zeus descends upon her in the form of a magnificent swan. White. Feathers, gliding wings, and an aura that screams, "I am a very persuasive waterfowl." He pretends to be fleeing from a great eagle. Leda, perhaps moved by compassion or simply caught in the tragic rhythm of mythological victimhood, takes the swan into her arms. Now, the original story is layered in poetry, ambiguity, and deeply uncomfortable metaphors. Even in ancient times, poets like Ovid and later painters couldn't resist the image, woman and bird, fate and feather. You stroll past a basket of eggs left out in the sun, apparently forgotten by someone. Or perhaps it's symbolic. Everything in Greece is symbolic if you squint long enough. Leda becomes pregnant, but not in the usual way. She lays 2 eggs. From those eggs hatch 4 children. Helen, yes, that Helen, Clytemnestra, and the twins. Castor and Pollux, some mortal, some divine. Some troublemakers, some tragic, obscure tidbit. In some versions, each egg contained a pair of siblings. So yes, 2 eggs. 4 kids. Even poultry math gets strange under the god's supervision. You pass a half-broken marble statue that may be Leda or may just be someone who tripped while sculpting. Her eyes, whatever their origin, seem resigned. She knows the world doesn't slow down just because you're confused. Historians still debate whether Leda's myth came from local bird deities or a poetic metaphor that spiraled into a full-blown celestial soap opera. You reach a small pond where swans glide lazily. One lifts its head and seems to eye you with suspicion. You nod, just in case. You've heard things. Back in myth, Leda's children go on to spark the Trojan War, kill kings, and occupy some of the most melodramatic pages in ancient literature. All from a single avian encounter. So the next time you see a swan, consider its wingspan and its intentions. You sit by the water. The frogs have stopped arguing. The wind shifts. You breathe. The road is quieter now. Even the insects seem to be humming in a lower key. You feel like you've walked straight out of myth and into the slow heartbeat of the earth. It's time for another transformation. This one? It's not Zeus himself, but he's still behind it. Like a producer who won't appear on camera but insists on rewriting every scene. Today, it's Callisto. A nymph, a huntress, a follower of Artemis, sworn to chastity and solitude. Naturally, Zeus is intrigued. You pass by a small shrine to Artemis. Fresh flowers, a bow carved in relief, and a single sandal someone clearly lost during a dramatic exit. Zeus, unsurprisingly, disguises himself again, this time as Artemis herself. Yes, this is where it gets weird. Callisto, thinking she's speaking to her goddess, lets her guard down. The deception works. And as myths often go, she soon discovers she's pregnant. You pause beside a fig tree. Its fruit is swollen, purple, and just on the edge of surrender. A wasp crawls along the bark, utterly uninterested in your emotional turmoil. Callisto hides her pregnancy for as long as she can. But one day, during a group bath, because apparently those were a thing, Artemis discovers her secret. Furious, she casts Callisto out. This feels unfair. Callisto didn't choose any of this. But in mythology, being a victim never guarantees justice. The story twists again. Hera, ever vengeful, turns Callisto into a bear. A literal, fur-clad, fish-snatching bear, Callisto roams the forests for years. Alone, afraid, and trying not to. Gets shot by her own son, Arcas, who grows up unaware that the large bear he's hunting is actually his mother. You stop at a stone path carved with bear paw prints. Probably artistic, possibly a warning dot at the final moment. Zeus intervenes. In a rare act of fatherly panic, he sweeps both Callisto and Arcas into the heavens, transforming them into constellations, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Obscure tidbit. Ancient Greeks believed the tail of Ursa Major was so long because it was being spun around the sky. It was an attempt to explain astronomy through poetic dizziness. Historians still debate whether the myth was originally about a bear goddess worshipped by early Arcadians long before. Zeus was the main character in everyone's dreams. You lie down in a small field and look up. The stars aren't out yet, but you know where they'll be. Mother and son, circling the sky for eternity, not by choice. But then, who among the stars ever asked to be famous? You close your eyes. The air smells like time and distant rain.